All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is April 22nd, 2017, and this is a Saturday morning webinar. And the title of this morning's webinar is New Features in Object Trader, Explained and Traded. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we're going to get started. By the way, here in about another week or so, if we can get Object Trader finished up for our members, we'll be having probably a really blast type promotion and bring, hundreds more people into the room for a week or so, just to show them what we've got. But we are going to no longer trial Object Trader with these new features in it. We'll trial them the older version, because truthfully, in a week's trial or 2 weeks trial, there's too much to learn. Okay, everybody knows that's been with us, right? So, in the future, it'll just be members that'll have this this feature where you can turn it on and it'll just trade on its own if you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and take down the standard disclaimer and get started. Let's do a little diagnosing on our chart first, okay? I went ahead and did a little bit of diagnosing on this one because I just threw up a chart that I thought we could all look at. And I don't trade oil in the middle of the night. I'm not even up, but I want to kind of diagnose this and we'll see what we're doing here. First off, let's go ahead and take these off just for a moment and I'll redo it so that everybody can see. And because I want everybody to be able to diagnose these charts the exact same way. Okay, now when you're looking at your chart, what I like to do when I get up first thing in the morning while I'm getting a cup of coffee or my juice or whatever I'm drinking there first thing in the morning, I like to kind of look at a chart that does away with a lot of the whole forest so I can see the individual trees. We've talked about that lots of times. And sometimes the best way to see that, of course, look at your power meters. And at this given moment, I mean, it's pretty obvious where power meter 1, 2, 3, and 4 are short. Okay, so that's pretty much telling us that we're not really looking at longs, but it doesn't mean that we can't draw support areas and take some longs even against this as long as the first meter changes. And that's why we developed the power meter type trader on Object Trader. Okay, but what I like to do is, you can see this usually without drawing, but let's draw it anyway. Let's just go ahead and draw it. We'll draw it from back here. This is your Lightning 4 right here with my backspace. Now, you'll notice by looking at this, you've got a low here, a high here, definitely a lower low than this, right? And then you've got a high, and then you've got a lower low. So that's telling you why that power meter is red, okay? Because we've got a short circumstance right here. Now, power meter 3, instead of being a 12 range chart, this is actually off a 12 range chart right here. Remember, everybody, that we do our Lightning 4 off of 12 range, 5 strength. Okay, and that's the way the template is, so it always draws that way. Okay, and then we've got our power meter 3, which is the 4 range, but a 15 swing strength. And I think everybody knows why we use a 15 swing strength. Remember, this is like Lightning 1, it's just kind of zigzaggy. Lightning 2, and then here's Lightning 3. And of course, you can clearly see Lightning 4 is a lot larger, so I didn't really draw it on a chart because, it would take, well, basically another full section of this chart to even show it, because it would be like this. It would just be one shot. We wouldn't have even drawn it yet. Everybody see what I'm talking about there, right? Because I want to make it real obvious to everyone so that you can see what tools to use and how to make some, good coin in the room. The whole idea that we've designed this entire system is so that people can make money every day. Predictors are very, very nice at doing just that, by the way. Okay. And but anyway, can everybody see first off, because we've got some people that are in here for the first time too, some trialers. Do you see why we've got a downtrend on this chart? And we give you the indicators to show you just that. Now, what I also like to do is I like to look at my previous resistance area and my previous support area, okay? So you want to actually either draw it or draw a line in your mind, either way, okay, like so. And then this is what I personally like to do in my mind or even drawing it. I like to kind of say, you know what, this is a little area right here. This is also an area right here. Now, does that mean if this thing comes down a little bit that it's going to come all the way down to 50? No, but it's going to go inside that box more than likely. Okay. And what you do is, for instance, if this is going to go sideways, which it looks like it is to me now because we have a high, a low, a lower high, and just barely lower low of 8 ticks on our Lightning 4. So that's kind of telling me that we may chop around a little bit. Okay. And that's what you need to do each and every day. I know Charles teaches this too, and is to diagnose your charts. Now I know what he does normally is just kind of looks at the chart, sees the swings and draws them, but you can draw it with Lightning and it gives you a little bit more, detail of where things are. Okay. So, until they break out of this area here or this area here, we're pretty much looking to trade this area here, right? Just to get the meat of the trade, the sweet part of the trade, until it breaks 50, that is. Now, does that mean that we can't, run some runners and things like that? No, we can run some runners, but the best way to actually trade this type of thing right here is to scalp it and to leave a runner on. Now, if a person doesn't have, a large enough account to do that, especially with oil, because oil is $1,000 a contract and it's $10 a tick. So if you do like 3 or 4 contracts, you're taking a chance of a, like a probably a $400 hit on every single trade, or say maybe a $300 profit, something like that. Okay, so let's look at the actual chart now and see. I'm going to go ahead and leave these lines on it, and we'll go ahead and load our template, and we'll see what we've got here. All right, now this is actually the 2-4 Object Trader Ranko. A lot of people have asked me to show the Rankos in the webinar a little bit so we can kind of see what's going on. All right, and of course, I've also got 2 other charts on here that are ready to go with Object Trader. Bear with me 1 second. You should be able to see the other one. Let me get the other one up. Bear with me a second. There we go. See, I've got a 4-8 Object Trader Ranko, and I've got a 4 range, and I've even got this little chart here. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and draw these little sweet areas on this chart too, just so we'll know it, because we've already drawn it on the other one. So I'm going to draw like a little area here, like so. And I'm going to draw a little area here, like so. Now, how large you draw these boxes is dependent on how large you draw the boxes. But, I find that usually, if you'll draw your box about like you do a Regency, that's 89 to about 84, around 5 ticks, 53 to 47. That's a little bit larger. That's 6 ticks. So we'll make it just a tad smaller. Okay. And then, until this decides to come out of this range, that's what you're actually trading. Okay. Now, the whole reason that we designed Power Meter was for this type of trading, and also the predictors too. We missed this one up here. Everybody notice that when I started this particular chart, we missed this trade right here, but you can clearly see that was a beautiful phantom trade. Okay, and you'd still be in it, by the way. This actually came down, probably got you in somewhere right around here on this bar close, okay, if you use power meter. But let's see if we can get a power meter ourselves even. You know, if it comes into the box and bounces out of it, we could go long, and if it comes up here and decides not to, we could actually go short. And we'll also watch our predictors, because the predictors are also kind of telling you where the prices should hit their heads, really. You know, to give an example, right now predictor's saying here. Well, it's already hit here twice, so now predictor's saying right here. So we could be looking for a trade there because that's around mid-band. Is it best to do a bar close, Patrick? Well, on your question, you can also, if you want to, a 4-range bar is pretty quick. You know, there's a lot of fakes on a 4-range bar, and you can tell it the very moment you do it, because they'll do the bar your direction, and then the very next bar will close the opposite. Usually, if they're going to really do it, they usually close, you know, a couple of bars your direction, which is more indicating that they're closing a bigger bar. Okay. Now, one thing I want to show you too, yeah, you would absolutely go short at 50.86, Patrick, on your question. Yes. Now, keep in mind that, you know, this is a little bit of hindsight right now, but this predictor showed that. So the new predictor trader will take that trade on that bar close or on that touch of that predictor, whichever you choose. You know, and it'll be a trade in here later. Now, it's not in mine even yet, but it'll be called predictor. And then you'll also have one called predictor PM, which means it'll do the lightning predictor trade. So on a lightning predictor trade, where do you think it would fire this trade? Let's draw it and I'll tell you. If you draw lightning on here, you'll see it. So let's draw lightning 1. It would have fired it right under here if that bar closed correctly there. So let's take lightning off and see if it did. It closed on that bar. So that's where you would be in that trade on a predictor trade. Now, is that a good entry? Not as well as I like it. That's a better entry at predictor, isn't it? And it's also at resistance. Now, what if you had your predictor set, though, at exactly predictor and it missed it by a tick? That's why we're going to have this feature built into it, that you're going to have this offset. And what I've found on these predictors is 1 to 2 ticks works quite well. Okay. Now, keep in mind, though, that if you just want to scalp, that you can usually do the PM type trades. And it is a safer trade because, you know, lightning has quit going up and is then rolling over. Now, lightning may have changed actually on this bar, you know, in real time, because see, you have a high bar, you know, you had a bar go down, a bar go up, a bar go down. So when it took out this swing here, that's when it's supposed to fire on that bar right there. Okay. We could back it up and see, but I think I'd mess everything up. So we're just going to go forward and see if we can trade this to begin with. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. Now on a larger chart like this, I would probably just draw a line. You know, this larger bars on here. And for instance, if this comes down to anywhere near this 51, we'll draw a box again just so that we'll know about where it should be. And if you wanted to, if it gets down there near support, you could turn on bar close, which would be the same thing as this being a bar down, bar down, bar down, bar down. We don't know if this bar is going down yet, right? Because it hadn't closed yet. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And the new feature on Object Trader on a trend line is going to be auto trend line is what it'll be called. And it'll start drawing the trend line based on what, let's say that you have auto trend line picked here on your object type. It will start drawing the line after it hits. Let's say if you had it set for 5, it's going to look for 5 bars down. It'll never draw it until it does. Okay, if you had it set for 4, then it would have already drawn it like this. Now, would that fire yet on Object Trader? No, because you'd have to close back above it. Okay. Now, technically, we could do the same thing with just simply counting bars and then taking a bar up, but we're going to also make this trend specific too if you want it to be. You know, for instance, you're going to be able to choose whether you want to require the trend or not. So in other words, this wouldn't take a long trade if you required trend. Okay. You'd be looking more for the trade next time around that goes like this one instead, you know, where it breaks that way. Let's see, you're using 482 on the left chart. Yes, John, on your question. Now let's see if we can get a little trade. I'm going to go ahead and fire this up and see. And keep in mind that you won't be able to use like PM on larger bars like this because, well, let me show you why on that. If you use Lightning 1, let's say, where's my Lightning 1? Lightning 1. Lightning 1. All right. Lightning 1 is set for 4 range, 1 strength, and it's set on bar close. Okay. So by setting that on bar close, that would mean that even an 8 range would have to close first on here, I believe. We'll find out if that changes at the same time. If not, you'll be able to use it either way. Okay, I haven't really traded larger bars like this except for the trend lines, and I like the trend lines. Okay, so let's fire it up and see if we can get something. Now, I've got these charts set up a little bit more to scalp. Right now, I've got 5, 6, and 20 with 3, and I've got 5, 6, 7, and 20 with 4. And the reason for that is because we want a runner, but we also want to get profit fairly quickly. And 4 contracts would be 5, 6, 7, and then 20. Now, I like those trend lines too. I had some problem connecting to not Continuum this morning, but actually AMP. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Okay, let's go ahead and say that we are a little bit riskier trader and we want to buy off this bottom if it gets down here, so we could turn on, obviously, like our PM. Now, keep in mind we want to at least go inside this box. Okay, at least touch it or something, because, you know, we want this to be like it's coming down to support. Okay, so we'll see if we can get it. Now notice this had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars down, so we could actually set this on bar close and it would be the same thing as doing a trend line break. Everybody sees that, right? Now we don't know if we're going to get down to 51 or not. We haven't yet, but this bar hadn't closed either. Let's see what we get here. We got bars straight down so far. Now keep in mind, you know, when you're looking at larger bars, you're like this Renko right here. See, this bar hadn't closed yet. These are all straight down. This one's still down until it closes up, right? And we don't know if it's going to close up yet. We'll find out. Okay, that closed up. All right. Where would we have to put our stop in this particular case? Well, unfortunately, you'd have to put it just under here. And that's a little bit riskier trade to me. Okay, because 16 times 4 is 40 times 16 is that's quite a hit, right? Let's see, with price passing the predictor, would the trader still be looking to take the PM trade? Well, you could. Let me show you how to do that. See the power meter? There you go. You're in your box. I'm going to turn on PM. A little safer trade. Now that bounced right off support, so I'm okay. See how you can get a fake bar even on a larger bar? That's the only thing. See, even if you drew it that way, it got you in right there. You're still feeling some heat. This one has never gotten you in yet. Now we don't know where it's going to get us in yet because PM is right here right now, but we don't know if it's going to, if this bar goes down and then, well, it didn't. So it looks like it's going to strike a PM right here at 65. So it's going to get in roughly the same spot to begin with. There it just did. Everybody see that? And the reason for that is because it didn't have any zigzag to the downside. But let's see if we can scalp it anyway. Okay, we got a scalp and we went to break even on 7 ticks. So we have 3 contracts on this side, on the right side that is, and we're at break even on our trade. Everybody see that? That's a little scalp. Now you could go even closer to break even since this is up at a predictor, like even right now, right? Because this looks like this could actually be a little predictor trade to begin with. And see, we took a long against the trend. But notice how ahead of time you could tell where it was going to hit its head. You drew your little box. Notice it didn't get all the way down to the low. They don't always. But it came inside our box. Not a bad little trade. Now this trade we felt some heat, but we do have some profit on it now. It looks like it's going to take us out though. See how it rolled over here? Now since we missed that and we're long, we're not going to take a short because we've already missed the trade. Everybody sees that, right? We've already missed that trade. It looks like it just stopped us. Now we may be able to get a chance to get that trade again. See it? Right here. 5, 6. We haven't been stopped out of this one yet. The short trade, Claude, on your question, yeah, you could actually be in that trade on that PM trade right now because it did roll over at mid-band. And that's where we called it lots and lots of times in the room. You know, matter of fact, more than likely when this came up that second time around, I would probably just be hitting market by now. And you'd have to put your stop just above 78. Everybody sees that, right? Because you don't want to really do these PMs as much at like mid-band as you want to do them from these lows or from these highs. Because then's when you're going to get the better trade. Okay? Because what if I do a PM here and it fills here? Where do you think this thing's going down to? Well, it's already checked the bottom. So looking to the left to trade the right, where do you think? Well, probably this little area right there. I bet it doesn't go any lower than that, actually. So I'm going to put my stop pretty tight because that one we got in very, very late. See why I don't like PMs on that particular type trade? If it works out, then we're fine. But if it doesn't, now what you could do if you want to try to get this trade anyway is just go ahead and put your stop above here. Try to get your little scalp and leave your stop just right above the swing, exit on close. Let's see the short trade, where would it enter with predictor trader? Well, with the predictor trader, let's look at it. It depends how you set up the new predictor trader. Because for instance, if it was within 1 tick and ticked back down, you would have entered here. You would have felt some heat. If you waited on what we call the PM trade, you entered right there when it took out that swing. So will that be a decent trade? We don't know yet. But we do know that resistance is here, and they usually check it twice. And we'll see if they do. We don't know if they will yet. Will we get a scalp? Maybe. We got it set at 5, 6. We'll see. Almost got a scalp. Almost, almost. Now remember, it's testing 63 right now. I've got the line drawn there. There you go. You got a scalp anyway. Now where's your stop right now though? It's still right where it is because it hasn't made a lightning swing. And I'll be giving up some on this trade if it goes up there, and it could possibly take me out. We don't know. I'm hoping to get that second contract first. Let's see, with pre, could you, like the box trade, enter up and down on? Yeah, you could actually do the box trade too. I'm trying to show you some of the new tools that are in Object Trader if a person wants to use them, like the PM Trader. You know, you're going to get the new feature called the Predictor Trader, which will be quite nice also. Now, I'd probably, more than likely with that going green, I'd probably close it. We do have another predictor right up here, like so, like that. We do have resistance right here, so let's bring our little box down. You want to try that? See if we can get that one? We'll see. We've got only $280 so far, but we only traded this one chart. Well, actually, we traded that one once. Let's see, you were using a 5-tick box. Is that what you would use for the opening boxes? Well, it depends, Patrick, on what you really want to use. What size box do you want to use? Because I find that, for instance, if you have resistance, we see this all the time in the room. Let's just draw the line right there and let's just see if they tag it. We know now instead of being in this large range, they're in this range right here, like so. Don't we? Let's see if we can get another trade. We'll just try to scalp it one more time. Let's look at our other chart and see if we're getting any kind of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Well, we've already missed it because it rolled over right there. So we missed that trade with a trend line type trade. Everybody see it? Like so. You would have been filled and you might have gotten a scalp. It's about the same trade as this one. Now, usually what I see when I see something like this, I would probably go ahead and turn on my bar close as soon as it gets up a little bit closer to our sweet spot. Now, we don't know if it's going to blow through it, right? There's no way to know that. But let's see if we can get up there and kiss it. Maybe, maybe not. That got to my box, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Now this one I'm not going to turn on because it's larger bars unless it gets all the way to predictor. Because see, we missed this trade a second ago, the one that we got over here. It looks like we got that one. We missed this trade over here because we didn't have our line drawn. And see how that new feature might just help you out because it would have already gotten it. See if we can do a runner. We've got 7 ticks on break-even trigger. If we get 7 ticks, now we don't know if it's going to go up a little higher. It looks like it might. Got a little higher low. Our stop would just be above that swing though. Would we reverse it? Somebody asked. I wouldn't personally, because how many times have you seen it? Your fill would be terrible to begin with. Let's say you just closed the trade. How did you analyze the information to close it out? We didn't close the trade, did we? We just got into one. We got into that one at that box. The one before? Oh, because of the lightning. See, we hadn't hit our targets yet, and we had lightning that was turning green. Did you notice your power meter went green a minute ago when it? See, you kind of rolled over, but then it kind of popped up. That's why you could protect that. Plus, it hit our support. Is all it did. Now, if you're ever going to make even scalps, you've got to pretty much stay with your scalp. See, we haven't gotten but the 5 ticks so far. You'll notice a lot of times in these scalp areas that a lot of traders are taking 5 ticks, by the way. You'll see that time and time again. Now we're going to draw this like this right here, right? We're going to keep our little box. We'll get our target out of the way just in case they decide to blitz it. Haven't gone to break even yet because we haven't gotten 7 ticks. So I got 7 ticks on my break even. So if I hit 6, obviously we won't go to break. And just went to break even. Okay. See, so now we're in a free trade. If this decides to reverse on us, no big sweat. We'll just get right back out of it. Now, you can also, let's say, for instance, we're in a sideways chop now and we've already gotten 2 targets. We can also put on power meter to get out of this trade. For instance, if it doesn't take out these lows and bounces, you could just turn on power meter to the long side, or it'll go to break even either way. See our break even's right there. Remember in the room we always talk about, you know, protect your profit, like when you're in sideways chop, to give an example. And we diagnosed this chart right up front. We knew it was going to be in chop for a bit because of why? We had a low, a high, and just a barely lower low. Well, bar close up, you'll get taken out of a trade sometimes too quick, Kenneth, on your question. See, that took us anyway, so we're out of the trade, right? No harm, no foul. Now, if this goes back up and gives us another opportunity, we'll get in it again. Where's our little sweet spot now? Well, it's right, more like right here, right? We'll see if we get another predictor. We might. We'll go ahead and go to the main chart until we get at least 4 or 5 bars straight up, if it happens, that we can draw a trend line. See, so far, if we were going to look for a short on this, to give an example, on the larger bars, we'd be drawing something like that. But we're not going to even activate the line until we see it go up. Or if this one breaks over, we're not going to take it. We're going to wait. Now here we go. We're getting close. See your power meter? There's your power meter. See how it came right into our box? Now, could it go as high as 78? Yes. Because it's kind of an identified medium swing. See the number on it? That's your lightning 3. If you were to actually draw on your lightning chart that we had just a little bit ago, the one that was right here, that's not it. Oh wait, we already changed it. Never mind. We changed our lightning chart to a regular 4 range. Everybody see how to use this a little bit like this? Could you take a breakout, for instance, you're talking about a breakout like above midband, to give an example, or more of a lightning 3 type? Now I would probably, see how that's coming up here again instead? I would probably turn this back on myself, but keep in mind that's oil, so that'll be 6 if we get this. Touching right at the top. Always have to check them. I'm not sure why that went ahead and fired the 6 right then, because that didn't turn red. I'll have to check into that and see, because we didn't have bar close turned on. See if we can get a little bit further down. Now keep in mind, by doing 6, see, I'm actually hurting myself a little bit, but I'm relying on resistance to hold. If resistance doesn't hold, then it'll take me out. And I might even be at scratch or under, but I'm trading it the way we teach it. So we'll see if it works out or not. Now, if you were to draw like a trend line, so you can see pretty much a trend line right through there. Now, we're not going to add anything to 6, but if it breaks that, if you weren't in anything, you could go ahead and trade that. See the trend line? We're not going to add, though. That's already at 6. That's plenty. See how you can trade and chop? You got to look to the left to trade the right, see what's going on, and hope you're not in those opening moments like on equities where they just whip around fairly quickly. Oil's a little bit smoother. Very seldom that it just jumps all over the place like a yo-yo, except at oil inventory. Now this is getting 1, 2, 3. We have one up, not up yet though, is it? So we can't really draw a trend line on this one yet, because keep in mind, to draw trend lines on larger bars, you're going to have to really use a little bit larger bar setting. In other words, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you probably got a nice scalp. This is a little risky right here. If you're going to do this one, I just sell it at resistance. Well, you could do it another way like this. Yeah, just turn on bar close. This bar's up, this bar's up, this bar's, we don't know yet, but we did roll over on our trend line here. So could this bar give us a scalp? Very possibly. And it's also at resistance. Now this particular trade right here is a little bit more conservative because, your resistance was right here where my line's at to begin with. And that's an awful large bar. With an 8 rollover, that's probably a good 10 or 12 ticks. Let's see. You're at 50.78 and it's been down to 69. So that's a 9-tick bar already and hadn't even closed. $78, $68, there's 10 ticks. See, that didn't even close until, it equaled that wick on that other bar. Now, what I'd do in a case like this is probably not reverse the trade, but get out of the trade if a bar closed back up. That way you won't get whacked too bad, because a bar closing up would be, after a bar closing down, would be the same size bar again, about a 10-tick bar. So you lose probably 8 ticks. Let's see, when you draw trend lines, sometimes it looks like you use the wick and other times not. Can you explain? You mean in the room? It really depends. To give an example, let's say that you had just walked into the room and you saw exactly where we're at, to give an example. Well, you've got a trend line right here. See, like that? But, for instance, if you were up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you wanted to take that trade even, I would have taken it the moment it went over that line for a quick scalp. It looks like this trade's going to work. See our break even. We're going to turn on our power meter. And we're going to leave our runner running. But if it bounces inside this box at all, we're going to flip it. Now, hopefully it'll take it out and just keep on trucking. But see why I'm doing this, though? Because I've got support down there at 51. .51's my level of support. And by the way, over here on this side, we could do the same thing. We're getting a number of bars. 1, 2, 3, not 4 yet. We'll do a wedge. Whoop, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3. You wouldn't have to turn that on just yet until you get that, at least that fourth one, if we get a fourth one. We'll see if we do. Might not. What is the blue box, Gary? Well, Greg, on your question, what I've done there is I've just drawn a little area of support and resistance. But what we're saying is that when you draw, where most people miss out on some really good trades is they try to get in right at support or right at resistance. And what do they normally do? They miss them by 2 ticks. See what I mean? Now that should be a good trend line, by the way. We'll go ahead and move our target out of the way. Hopefully this wedge will work. We're still working on getting that perfected. If this closes up, we'll reverse our trade. This one will reverse our trade if we get a PM to the upside. See the PM green? I mean red. It's not green yet. Let's see, you did not use the wick on the top bar, so it should start without a wick. Well, the way the new trader is going to draw, Patrick, and I'm hoping that my programmer understands exactly the way I want it, because on these larger bars, to give an example, see these upper right-hand corners on a short, and it'd be vice versa on a long? That's the way I want him to literally draw this thing in real time, is like just right along the top right corners of these bars. And then when a bar closes up on a trend line, it would take the trade. Now, where would our stop be on this trade? Well, it'd have to be under here. And I probably wouldn't use bar close on a big bar. I'd probably just drag it a couple of ticks under that. Now, this is about an hour before we traded the market. Now, let's diagnose a chart real quick. Let's just make sure what we're going to do at the open. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do a webinar type chart. Change the template. And we're going to diagnose this chart. Just like you would when you're getting up. Okay, we've got our boxes drawn. Let's look to the left to trade the right. Let's draw our lightning. Pretty choppy sideways, just like we thought, isn't it? Okay, so we have resistance here at 86, and we've got resistance at, let's draw it over here too. We'll get resistance at 92. So we have thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. We definitely know we've got a top there at 86 because it's hit it twice. So looking to the left to trade the right, our resistance is here. And our resistance is here, looking to the left to trade the right. So by looking at this, this is telling me that unless it takes out 5102, thrust, retrace, thrust, this is not heading down. So you would, not heading up, you would be looking for shorts. Okay, now our scripts will keep you looking the right direction to begin with if they stay red like this. Okay, now notice I did get a little trade here on a PM. Now this is a opposite type trade. Is this a risky trade? Very possibly. We'll find out. I will put this one on exit on close just underneath the 53. Let's see if it works out at all. That's one of the chances you take with a breakout trade. What happens every time you box in something? Just exactly what's happening right now, right? They roll in your face, they try to fake you, and then they'll probably pop up anyway. Because our parameter 1 and 2 is green. We're in the red a little bit. We also got in on a trend line break. Stops underneath the swing. 11 ticks, 13 ticks right now. That's quite a bit for 4 contracts. It's $520 of our 940. But did it break a trend line? And the answer is yes. Do we expect a little bit of heat on a breakout trade like that? The answer is yes again. Looks like we're almost break even again. Now, as soon as it pops up above here, if it does, we'll bring our stop up. But keep in mind that I've already got this set to break even anyway once we get to 7 ticks. So we're okay once we get our initial scalp, but until we get our initial scalp, it's our stop. And if we get nailed on this, it's going to hurt. See, that's the difference in trading against the trend, because we're long against the trend, but we're still scalping. Everybody see how to use some of these tools? Did our support hold? Our support held, right? Okay, now, once this closes above this little swing here like that, you can bring your stop at least up to here. But if you're using like any kind of a break-even deal, you probably just want to let it do its own break-even thing, if it's going to. And we'll see. There you go. You're at break-even, so you're good to go. Everybody see that? Pretty good. Now, where did we draw our little sweet area on our chart just a second ago? Remember? Thrust down, retrace, thrust down, right? Kind of do an ABC usually. So that's what I consider to be your medium swing right here on your longer term chart, that is at 102. Now you do have a swing here at 92. So as long as they stay under even 92, then they'll head back down. Everybody see that? Let's draw it so you can see it in real time even on this chart. We'll draw it from down here. That's your little lightning one right there so far. Watch in real time and see what happens. Also, I'm going to draw just in case they break down under our little area here, but it looks like they're testing 78 even. They kind of pull back a little bit. All parameters are green. I don't know what did that, but we'll fix it. Have no idea what did that. There you go. Look at that, 93 so far. Let's look and see if we can get another trade. Well, we already missed it. See it right here? That's that one I missed on Friday that my internet went bad. But everybody sees it, right? Look at that box. Now, could you have taken this trade? The answer is absolutely yes. Now, what if you didn't take that trade? Anyone? Now, this is opening trade, so this kind of does away with some of the other, but let's look and see if we can get back in this trade. I got this going like 100 times. All right, let's look at the chart and see if we can get in it. Okay? Now, we've already thrust down, so anybody wanting to short this thing now? I don't personally, okay, because you need a retracement of some kind. Okay, and while I was diagnosing that other chart, we missed this beautiful thing here. But if we had turned on our power meter 1, we would have nailed that trade right underneath here or here. So you'd be in that trade. But if you're not in that trade, you've got to wait for the retrace. Or you take a chance and short it at like resistance and see if you can get a scalp. Let's see, is there a trick to do that black screen without the template, Patrick? Well, the template I've got available online. It's on the website, the webinar template, but it's real easy to build. I can have Linda send you the template. Okay, now could we take a chance of a PM since it hit a predictor here? If this turns green, could we try to get 5, 6 ticks and go to break even at 7? Well, it's kind of just barely taking out the lows, isn't it? So let's see if we can get a little trade to the upside with PM. Okay, this is telling us where we're going to hit our head. So should we take a PM trade? I'd probably change this to 5. And that's if it even doesn't just keep going down, which we'll find out. It's going down still so far. But our trade's already setting up for us, isn't it? Anybody? This is our little sweet spot right through here. Could you box in both directions? Absolutely, you can box in both directions. Matter of fact, what if, since this has gone way down, couldn't you just do this? A larger bar? Because we know that they're heading down, 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 down. So if a bar heads up, we'd put our stop just under the wick of the bar. We could try that. You want to try that with 5, 6, 7, and 7 tick break even? We'll try it. Okay, it's still headed down so far. Bar closed down. Lots of bars down, right? But since we missed it while I was showing that other chart, we're going to wait for a pullback. And a lot of times when you see this like this, you can draw a trend line. And technically what this new trader will be doing will just be drawing a trend line. But when that bar closes up on a larger bar, the reason we're not going to do it on a bar close is because you may not be using a larger bar. But if this bar happens to close up, to give an example, then we'll be in a long trade for a scalp. And on this side, we'll be in a PM trade if it happens to come back up. Now keep in mind, lightning's heading down, right? Well, if lightning starts striking back to the upside, we can very possibly take an opposite trade. We'll see if that works. That's also a trend line. Let's see if it does. I don't know. I know we got a monster nice short on Friday once my internet came back. There you go. You just got your PM trade. We got 2 5s. And we got it. We got a break a little bit higher because that's a bigger bar. Our stop would have to be underneath the swing. Break even already on this side. But where's our trade on this? Anybody? We've already drawn it. It's right up here. Well, actually, you're at predictor, which is right there. And matter of fact, it was at predictor. See there? Let's just go ahead and take it on a PM. Whoop. PM. Come on. There we go. PM trade. Haven't gotten to break even on this side yet. Will we? Well, we've already hit our sweet spot, so I would probably say bar closed down, I'd reverse this because you're right at predictor. So see, this side may get us a scalp and it may not. That's why going against the trend, you're better doing it on the smaller chart. Hey, it looks like we got a scalp. That's good enough for me, break even. And of course you could turn this on now, because it just went right up to where we wanted it to inside the box. Remember, I called this trade on Friday. PM has not changed yet. PM's going to trade. Well, there's where it changed. You'd have to put your stop above the swing. Like that. I'd probably move one of these down to the bottom at least, because it should actually hit the low. Yeah, and definitely, Carl, on your question, see, you can take trades against the trend and still work out, and take trades with the trend and work out even better. I don't know if anybody remembers this trade in the room, but I'm pretty sure it just literally just tanked. Remember, Charles and I called this trade. And by the way, if you're not in the trade, where do you think it's going to give you another opportunity? We didn't get in this one. We'll go ahead and do it anyway. Bar close to the downside. It came right to mid-band. Close enough anyway to me. It's at resistance. Predictor, absolutely. Let's just go to the main chart and see if we can get that. Now notice how when this got you in way down here, see how much heat I felt on that trade with PM? Why wouldn't we have just clicked the button where we basically drew our line? We had our line drawn right here. So wouldn't that be a better trade? I'm going to trust the trade though, because you know we've got to trust our trade, right? We got to see where it's going and trust your trade. Now, what if you missed this trade right here, or you wanted to add to it? Let's say that I got rid of all my contracts but one, like up in here. Let's just say I don't trust this, and I think, you know what, if this does it again, I'll go ahead and do it. See, I'm trying to get two contracts with only like one tick, and I'll run my runner out of the way. But I'll show you how to get in it again, because I'll bet it'll set up. They usually do. There's a small part of mid-band which is gray. Well, that was the opening box for 832. That's another thing I want to show you too. There's some of our traders that are doing this each and every day. They turn on like CL, take this trade straight out of the box, 759 short trade, right? They turn on gold, they turn on YM, and they turn on like TF. Or, yeah, and not NQ, I think, is the one that Greg doesn't trade. Okay, if this takes out this low, we'll put our stop all the way down to here. We have not gotten a break-even trade yet, or we can just wait for break-even to happen. 7 ticks. Bar close out of the box. You could do that also, absolutely. Everybody see? It's kind of like last week, you know, when I talked about the conservative trade versus the aggressive trade. Well, the aggressive trade was literally right at the box. You'd probably be in here instead of way down here. This was right at resistance to begin with, you know, into predictor and rolled over. Now see, we're at break even here in about another few ticks. We just went to break even. Now, what if this takes us out? Let's see, the reason I don't do NQ is it whips me around the 859 trade. It can definitely be, you know, a whip around deal at the open. Okay, now we're out of this one. What do you think? Well, are we breakout traders? Nope. We're retracement traders, right? So let's wait for a retracement. Let's diagnose our chart and see where it should be. Got a swing right across here. That's close to mid-band, isn't it? Looking to the left to trade the right. And let's see where predictor says it's going to be. No predictor yet, is there? Now, since this is red right now, I could go ahead and turn on my PM, and it shouldn't take a trade until it turns green. Using the exit on close, you're not actual break even, correct? That's true. If you used exit on close, you would not be at break even. That's exactly right. That is true. That'd be 12 ticks difference. Probably don't want to do that. But you still would be break even minus the bar close, as long as you didn't lose internet, that is. Look at that predictor. I'd probably do a bar close if it happens to touch that predictor. Don't y'all think? That's resistance. Now I'm fairly aggressive, so I'd probably do that. It's up to you if you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, wait for the bar close. I think that new feature will be pretty good, yeah. Now keep in mind though that you're going to have to still look at your charts to see where that swing area is. By the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could draw a trend line. And if it breaks the trend line, like that, see, it's trying. It went through resistance, went back through it again. That's usually when I just grab it. Everybody see that? Not a bad little trade. And we have no idea where it went from there. I'm pretty sure it dropped and dropped and dropped before 10 o'clock because we got a monster part of that trade. And I would still put mine roughly above the swing because I like to actually trade more for runners. And I trust these swings, lightning swings, especially if it takes this one out. Yeah, that's good enough. And just ride your runner, right? Gonna see where it went? I don't know. Let's find out. I'll go to 500 times and see where the thing went. I'm 500 times right now. Power meter hadn't even changed to green yet. That's right at a predictor right there. See, I'm going too fast, but see how that predictor even worked? I mean, how much better can trading get than predictors? Really? I mean, look at that. That was another trade right there. I've got it going too fast to trade, obviously. It's 500 times. Way too fast to trade. There's another predictor that just worked. Could have bought support just like we said a little while ago. You got it your little trade. There's a phantom trade. 500 times. Let's see if we can get something on this just for the fun of it. Look at that. See there? It just flat works. That's all there is to it. And notice how this one, I just did the phantom trade. And by the way, this was going 500 times. But see that phantom? Reason I took that phantom, where's my swing? It's all the way back here. Is that a lower high? And the answer is yes. Did this one count yet when it didn't take out that low? No. So what do? Well, if they can't take out lows, they go higher to like phantom and then they roll over. Everybody sees that? Predictor worked. Another predictor more than likely worked, at least for that scalp anyway. Didn't take out the lows, so we probably need to go higher. This could be changing trends. We'll find out. Yep, it's changing trends. What do y'all think? Right down here? It's going too fast for me to grab it, but I would have grabbed it right there. That's good enough. See if we can get a scalp. There you go. Just grabbed another scalp. Everybody see how to trade that? And to utilize our tools, whether you use market or anything else, and we're working very diligently to improve Object Trader to where it will see these trades in real time. And if you will just simply go for these little scalps and break evens, worked, didn't work, right? Now we're into the change of color, not yet. That's the end of the day right there. So you probably wouldn't have gotten these trades here unless you turn off this feature right here. Required trend only would be turned on normally. If you turned off required trend, you could take that trade even. Okay. So I think you'll like that feature. And keep in mind that if a person were to use it all the time like we teach, remember this trade I missed in the room on Friday because my internet went bad? But look where the box was. Even if you took that trade right there, just a monster nice move. Takes you out of your lightning, goes back in a predictor, goes back in another predictor, and another predictor. Okay, everyone? Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to try to get this Object Trader finished up as quick as possible. Believe me, I'm begging him to get it finished. He's got some kind of a major glitch that he's working on again, so we'll find out. All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming. It ran about 7 minutes over. Hope you enjoyed it. And remember, when we trade this way in the room, this trade alone on oil, like that trade will just pepper your account with profit. Okay? And just remember, too, when you're sideways, like YM was and NQ and stuff like that, that you can trade even then and stay more with the trend. Let me show you NQ on Friday. Just real quick, and then we'll wrap. Hopefully it'll load. Please load. Please load NQ. There you go. All right, let's go back to the open of the market just real quick. Remember this choppy garbage right here? Everybody remember this right here? Right at the open. But if you draw your lines, across the tops of your charts and, where your resistance is and stuff like that, there's a phantom, or not a phantom, but a mid-band trade that worked. Remember we got that one? Monster nice trade. Remember that? Another predictor trade. Another predictor trade. And wasn't this even another predictor trade? Does it mean that you couldn't have taken some longs down in here like I just showed earlier? No, but look at your medium swing is right here. Your low swing is low swing is right here, right? So isn't that your high? So you have a low, a high, a lower low. Till they take that out, they're not changing trends. See there? And they just kept bouncing in that area. So you short these tops at these predictors, right? Sometimes when you box them in, you got to know, kind of where to box them in, and you got to scalp them. Remember, I think even Charles got a little whipped around in here on Friday. It was a choppy one. But if you were a predictor trader, there was some pretty good trades on here. Trade here, trade here, trade here, trade here. That trade obviously wouldn't have worked here, but I don't know if you would have taken it when it didn't take out the lows. Right? Phantom trade. Otherwise, they'll just whip you around like a stepchild. They really will. See how they come to the predictor and bounce, predictor and bounce. If you get two predictors in a row and you don't take out the top, go for lower like Phantom, you got another trade. And it looks like you're getting another one for Monday. High, low, higher high. So this is your medium swing right here, right? And this is kind of a sweet spot right here for a bounce. More than likely. Okay? All right, we'll see everybody on Monday morning. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll try to get these new tools to you as quick as possible. just one second. Let me write down Patrick's given me a email address, and then we'll close. Bear with me, Patrick, and I'll write that down so Linda can get that to you. I got a pen that won't write. Okay, got it. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great day. See you on Monday.